Today is Monday, November 25th. We'll tell you President-elect Trump's latest and final picks for his official cabinet and what's happened now to his hush money case. Also, we'll explain who will pay what in a new international climate deal. Plus, we've got the forecast for Thanksgiving weather across the country, why the FBI is warning professional athletes to hire extra security, and which word is the word of 2024. Those stories and much more news to know to start your week next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. President-elect Trump has now chosen almost everyone he wants by his side when he kicks off his second term in January. He announced his last official cabinet pick over the weekend, Brooke Rollins, as Agriculture Secretary. She's a longtime Trump associate who served as an aide during his first presidency. And if she's confirmed as head of the USDA, she'll be in charge of all the policies, regulations, and aid programs that have to do with farming, ranching, food quality, nutrition, and more. Another big one, Trump chose who he wants in one of the most influential roles of government, Scott Bessent for Secretary of the Treasury. Bessent is a hedge fund manager who has said he wants to extend tax cuts made during Trump's first term in office. He also has defended import tariffs and deregulation. Separately, the president-elect is nominating Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer for what's typically one of the most uncontroversial roles in the government, Labor Secretary. Chavez-DeRemer is one of the most pro-union Republican members of Congress, but lost re-election earlier this month. Now she could have control over minimum wage, overtime, worker safety rules, and a lot more. Then there's Trump's choice for the leader of Housing and Urban Development, aka HUD. He tapped Scott Turner, a former NFL player who also ran the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council during Trump's first term. HUD runs tons of programs that do everything from reducing homelessness to promoting homeownership. Of course, all of these picks still have to be confirmed by the Senate after all the newest senators get sworn in next year. Well, this week was supposed to be when President-elect Trump would receive his punishment in his criminal hush money case, but the judge decided to postpone this week's sentencing indefinitely. He's also letting Trump's lawyers request the case be dismissed entirely. Remember, Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts in New York for falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to a porn actress. Prosecutors say they're going to keep fighting to keep this case alive, pushing for sentencing after Trump serves his time as president, while Trump's team considers it over already. This is the only one of the 4 separate criminal cases against Trump that actually went to trial before the election. And now that he's won, legal experts expect the other criminal cases will likely come to an end, too. Israel is again warning its citizens about traveling abroad, saying they could be targeted. In just the latest incident, an Israeli rabbi was found murdered in the United Arab Emirates. Israel's prime minister called it a despicable anti-Semitic terror attack. More Israelis have been traveling to the UAE since 2020, when the countries formally opened ties with one another. Though their relationship has reportedly gotten more tense since the war in Gaza began, sparking outrage all over the region. As you know, tensions are extremely high between Israel and Lebanon. Over the weekend, Israel's military and the Hezbollah militia group traded heavy fire across the border. First, there was an Israeli airstrike that killed 29 people in Beirut. In response, Hezbollah in Lebanon fired about 250 rockets into Israel. Several people were hurt and buildings were damaged, some near Tel Aviv. All the while, negotiators are still working toward a ceasefire. Axios is citing officials from both Israel and the U.S. who apparently say a deal between Israel and Lebanon is close. Countries from around the world have reached a new climate deal. During the United Nations climate talks called COP29, wealthy countries agreed to pool together at least $300 billion a year by 2035 to support poorer countries. It triples the current target. The goal? Help developing nations adopt cleaner energy and cope with the increasingly catastrophic impacts of climate change. But many developing countries say it's too little too late. They had asked for what experts have said is needed, $1.3 trillion a year. So the $300 billion doesn't come close. The deal instead calls on private companies and international lenders like the World Bank to cover the shortfall. Talks went 33 hours late and reportedly came close to not ending in an agreement at all. Ultimately, the promise of more money is said to be at least a recognition that developing nations bear a disproportionate burden from climate change while contributing the least to it. AAA estimates nearly 80 million Americans will travel for Thanksgiving this year. Most will probably make it to their destination without any issues, but forecasters say weather could interrupt some plans, so it's important to check the conditions. The The Weather Channel says the Great Lakes, south and east, will likely see some rain and wind today and tomorrow. The West is also expecting some rain and mountain snow, even as parts of Northern California and the Pacific Northwest are still recovering from a deadly bomb cyclone. There's now a winter storm warning in California, Sierra Nevada through at least tomorrow. Come Wednesday, which is a major travel day ahead of Thanksgiving, the Central States and Rockies appear to have the most active weather with snow. And while forecasts can still change for later this week, right now it's looking like the East will be the most impacted on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, from possible thunderstorms in the Southeast to rain in the Northeast and a wintry mix in the Great Lakes. All right, we have more news for you still ahead, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. You know that feeling when you get home from a long day and immediately want to change into comfy clothes? With Honeylove, it doesn't have to be that way. Everything from their shapewear and bras to their leggings and tanks are designed to be comfortable and functional. In fact, I can't live without their Legging 2.0. It's my favorite pair of leggings by far. I wear them every week due to their soft, breathable fabric, stylish look, and convenient but not bulky pockets. And whenever there's a special event, Honeylove is my go-to for shapewear, giving me support, confidence, and comfort all in one. Whether you're getting ready for holiday parties and want better shapewear, or you're ready to upgrade your everyday essentials, Honeylove has you covered. Treat yourself to the best bras, shapewear, leggings, and more on the market. And save up to 60% off site-wide at honeylove.com/newsworthy until December 4th only. Inventory is limited and the sale ends soon, so don't miss their best deals of the year. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Elevate your comfort, elevate your style, thanks to Honeylove. Okay, now back to the news. President Biden will make 2 pardons today, giving would-be Thanksgiving turkeys a new lease on life. Peach and Blossom are expected to live out their days in an agricultural center in Minnesota. The first modern president to pardon turkeys was John F. Kennedy in 1963, but the tradition didn't really take hold until George H.W. Bush pardoned 2 turkeys in 1989. Presidents have pardoned turkeys every year since, typically taking advantage of the Thanksgiving holiday to have a more lighthearted moment with the press. Public schools in Texas will be allowed to teach an elementary school curriculum that includes Bible-based lessons starting next school year. The state school board approved the material in a divided 8-7 vote. Now, this curriculum is optional and free for use, but school districts that do use it will receive additional funding. Supporters say the Bible is a key part of American history, and the material will use biblical examples to teach kids valuable lessons and offer a well-rounded education. But critics say the curriculum violates the constitutional separation of church and state and could alienate students and families who aren't Christian. Education experts say Texas is said to be the first state to include biblical teaching in public school classrooms. Authorities are warning athletes they may be targets of international crime rings who break into houses when they're at games. NFL stars Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes both had their homes burglarized last month, and the FBI says other American athletes are increasingly victims of sophisticated criminal operations. For example, a player on the Milwaukee Bucks and another one on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Authorities blame so-called burglary tourists from Central and South America. Most major professional sports leagues in America, like the NFL, NBA, and NHL, have told their players about the threat of these crime rings. Athletes have been advised to upgrade their security systems, hire private security guards, and be careful about what they post on social media, since that's one way criminals gather information. These groups of burglars go to great lengths to scout their targets, too. The NFL's memo to its players says thieves may pose as delivery workers, maintenance crews, and neighborhood joggers. The FBI hasn't made any arrests, and law enforcement officials continue to investigate. It's not quite Barbenheimer, but Glicked helped deliver the biggest pre-Thanksgiving domestic box office in more than a decade. The release of both Wicked and Gladiator 2, which fans have dubbed Glicked, brought in a combined $170 million. Glicked accounted for around 4 out of every 5 people who went to the movies over the weekend, bringing the overall domestic weekend total from all movies at the box office to $205 million. Wicked's opening weekend also made it the highest-performing Broadway adaptation ever. Gladiator 2 set some records of its own. It's Denzel Washington's best opening weekend of all time and the highest box office total for an R-rated movie in November. Even though the 2 movies are doing well at the box office, the companies that made them spent an enormous amount of money to promote them. The word of the year is manifest, at least according to Cambridge Dictionary. It's a verb, as in manifest your dream life by using visualization and affirmations. Cambridge says this was the year the word manifest moved from the self-help community to mainstream media. That's partly because of the Summer Olympics, when star athletes like Simone Biles use the term to talk about how they achieve their goals. Pop stars Sabrina Carpenter and Dua Lipa also talked about manifesting. People looked up the word more than 130,000 times in 2024, making it one of the most searched words of the year on the Cambridge Dictionary website. Though this particular definition of the word manifest is pretty new. Cambridge Dictionary didn't add it until May of 2023. Well, that's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, this episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. It's that time of year where your health insurance plan is going to be top of mind. The open enrollment period is when you'll be signing up for next year's coverage. And whether you're switching plans or not, you may need to look for a new doctor or specialist. And when I need to do that, I try to make the process as easy as possible for myself. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are located nearby, who are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and who are highly rated by verified patients. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You could even score same-day appointments. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Money Monday. The cost of a Thanksgiving dinner is lower this year. An American Farm Bureau survey estimates average prices for traditional Thanksgiving dinner items are down about 5% overall from last year. The average total cost for dinner for 10 will be about $58 compared to just over $61 last year. For 2024, things like turkey, pumpkin pie, potatoes, and more all have dropped in price by as much as 26% in the case of potatoes and sweet potatoes. Turkey prices alone dropped by 6%, driving much of the overall cost decrease. That said, the cost of Thanksgiving is still up about 20% compared to the last pre-COVID year of 2019. And a separate Deloitte report found nearly half of all Americans are still concerned about the cost of inviting people over for Thanksgiving this year. But after years of inflation, many Americans may still feel grateful to spend a little less cash on their holiday meal. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and making us part of your daily routine. You can further support our work here by becoming a Newsworthy Insider. You can listen ad-free on any podcast app. Sign up for a free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. You can even gift an insider membership this year to the Newsworthy fan in your life. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to the episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. We'll be back with even more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.